Today we're speedrunning Kindergarten 3, a game that's a lot darker than you probably think. Now our speedrun starts once we begin our first day, and right away we want to try to read this paper, only to figure out that we can't actually read. So we'll ask our new teacher, Miss Lovelet, what the paper says, and she tells us she's trying to cast some people for a play called King Lear. So we have to ask a few people if they want to join. First we'll ask Nugget, and he'll say he'll do it if we eat some goo. Then we go and ask Felix, and we tell him that we'll give him a crown so he can be in the play. And finally we'll ask Cindy, and convince her to be in the play by telling her she'll be famous. Also, quick refresher on the characters. Nugget is a person who really loves nuggets, and in this game starts really liking goo. Felix is the son of some rich guy and has a brother named Ted, and Cindy is the mean girl of the school. I'll also explain more characters as we get to them. But now we're heading over to the nurse's office since the goo we ate is about to kill us. Now it's the morning time. We're going to tell Miss Lovelet who's all the people we got for her, but to actually get them to do this play, they're demanding different things. Now first we have to get a crown for Felix, and to do that we need to talk to brand new character Davy. Davy has an alligator friend named Linda who really likes eating fish, so he asks us to take the fish from the classroom and he'll give us the crown. And our teacher Miss Lovelet will let us because she really loves putting on plays. Oh, also Nugget spawns a new kind of arm, but we're not going to worry about that because we got to go get him some goo. That's what Nugget requested, so we can just get it from the bathroom. Before we see this school's hall monitor Stevie, who got injured in Kindergarten 2, and since we have a hall pass, we can go past them before going to the playground and getting flowers for Cindy. Now before finishing up, we have to talk to Davy, take that crown, and it's time for the play. And this is a very beautiful play, you know, everybody's doing their best, where then Nugget goes and stabs Felix in the eye. He's not too happy, but then he stabs him a second time, and yeah, I know this is just an amazing play. So finally it finishes with all of them taking a bow, including Felix, who falls off. And you know, that was a pretty good morning time. Finally, Miss Lovelet is also going to give us a library card, which we can go to during lunchtime. Then when we go to lunchtime, Nugget spawns another arm, and we're gonna go over to Stevie, where we tell him that we have the library card so we can head in here. We'll talk to Miss Lovelet. She wants to get another play going, and we find the Wizard of Oz on this bookshelf, so she tells us we gotta go find some more people to do that one. Now first, we're gonna talk to Austin and convince him to throw his burger over at the janitor. Austin's another new character to this series who just really likes throwing things. And then the janitor asks who did it, assumes it was Monty because in the past games, they fought each other all the time, until finally, after way too long, Miss Applegate does say that it was actually Austin. But instead of getting mad at Austin, the janitor decides to ask Austin for help to deal with a problem that we'll worry about in a different mission. Next, we're gonna ask Nugget to be in the play. He'll say yes. We'll ask Cindy, she asks for more flowers. And we'll ask Carla to give us a distraction to leave the cafeteria, and she says she wants our library card, which we can do since we already used it. Carla's also another character from Kindergarten 2, who likes setting up schemes around the school to make money. This allows us to go out here, and there is going to be Felix just sitting here with no eyes, and we convince him very easily to be part of our next play. Pretty much by saying we'll just let him die if we don't, but since he finally agreed, we can get the nurse to go check him out, and yeah. But now it's time for recess, and we're gonna go right over to Cindy, say that she can take these flowers, and the thing about blue flowers is they're actually poisonous, but I'm not too worried about that. Instead, we'll check over on Nugget. You know, he's doing a great job, ready to go to the play. We'll check on Felix, tell him that it's time for the play. Yeah, I won't lie, this is definitely a sequence of events for Felix. And that's gonna be two people. Meanwhile, Austin and the janitor are doing something. I'm not too worried about them, because after a while, Cindy starts frothing at the mouth and she is dying, so we have to go get her the nurse. Yeah, there's a lot of getting the nurse in this first ending, but we're not gonna worry about the janitor who's just sitting right there. We're gonna head over here, tell the nurse what's going on, you know, pretty easy stuff. And when we head back, the nurse is saving Cindy, but Miss Lovelet says we still need someone to play the actual Wizard of Oz. And for that, we're gonna come back to the bathroom, turn on this faucet, and then Agnes from the last game comes out and says, hey, I could be your wizard. And we're like, cool. Best part is she actually has magic powers apparently. So we go straight back to the teacher, and it's time for the play. She sings we're off to see the wizard who lives in the trash, and then says we're being amateurs and shouldn't walk and instead skip. So yeah, it's just a very nice play. Then when we get to the bathroom, Agnes shows off her powers, and she is probably the best person we could have gotten for this job. And then everybody gets what they asked for. Of course, Felix first is going to get a heart, which drops right on his head. Nugget's gonna get a brain, and then he goes over and eats it, so that's definitely interesting. And Cindy says that all she wants to do is go home, so Agnes drops a house on her. I'm not sure that's exactly what she meant, but hey, we did everything we needed to. Finally, for doing all this, Miss Lovelet decides to give us a playbook, which we can bring with us to other days, and that'll let us both choose the play for the day, and if we give it to Agnes, she'll give us a security blanket. Now it's time for Wednesday again ×1, and we're gonna start kindergarten without taking any extra items because we have a specific mission we're gonna do where we don't need them. them. First off, we'll talk to Emmy and tell her that we can find her a girlfriend to help her with her garden, and talk to Cindy, who says she will help, but since she's vegan, she has to get rid of those vegetables and instead plant some flowers because, you know, those are clearly vegan instead of the vegetables. Anyway, she goes and spits on the stuff. Emmy gets upset and runs away. And Emmy's another new character who just really likes plants. Next up, we're gonna go and talk to Carla because this is actually going to be Carla's mission where we open all the vents and get secret paths around. So to do that, we're gonna go ask Austin to open up this window because he loves throwing rocks at things, and that's also why we did have to move Emmy so he didn't hit her in the face. And finally, after all that, we can then go into the window where there's going to be Stevie just chilling here, but he says he'll take us to the nurse's office since we're a little injured. Meanwhile, Carla tells us to come to the bathroom as soon as possible, and thankfully once we go over to the nurse, she says that Stevie is in a lot more pain than us, so we can actually leave. Meanwhile, she's gonna stay with Stevie. And that works out perfectly for us because now we can go into the bathroom where we have to open up this first vent. And to do that, all we do is click one button. Pretty easy stuff. That's part one done. Next up, it's going to be morning time, and it starts out like usual, just people doing their stuff until Carla comes back to the vent and asks us for some more help because she can't get out. So we have a couple things we gotta do. First of all, we're gonna take the green book from over here because that's gonna be Jack and the Beanstalk. So next up, we're heading over to Cindy, who's playing house, but Alice is also trying to, and Cindy asks us for something to bludgeon Alice with, so we decide to head over to Emmy, ask her if we can take her watering can, but she says no. And by the way, Alice is a girl we saved in the end of Kindergarten 2. We'll learn more about her in a different mission. So Cindy goes over to Emmy, just completely steals it from her, and then comes back to Alice, who says, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this, but then she strikes her right in the face, and we now have some green goo. Thankfully then, we can take this green goo and plant it over here, which causes a huge vine to go up, and that's pretty nice. So then we can talk to our teacher, tell her that we want to do Jack and the Beanstalk, and Nugget is going to say that he can be the one that climbs up it because there's some more goo over there and he really wants it, but then he falls and does the split. He's not doing the best. Miss Lovelet is very upset because she still wants to do the play, but thankfully I can climb up there, and we're also going to save Carla and open that vent. So yeah, we're good to keep going, and this time again she's going to give us a library card. Now when it comes to lunchtime, right away we'll talk to Carla and ask her to distract Miss Applegate. She was a teacher back in Kindergarten 1 and 2, and now she does various roles around the school, like lunch lady, nurse, all that kind of stuff. And then we can go to the vent behind her, open it up, and go to the classroom with it, where Nugget is still just chilling here, kind of unlucky to be him. So we can unlock that door from the outside, that way we can come there later, and then head over to the nurse's office since we want to distract her. And we're going to tell her that Nugget's over there. She's going to tell him she can put him down like a horse. And then when we tell him that he ate goo, she says she really has to put him down, so not my problem. Instead, I'm just going to head over to this vent, open up another one of these, hear a very strange noise, and then get kicked out by the new principal of this school, Regis, which by the way, the previous principal went missing. He also puts us in study hall for being here. So now it's time for the final part of this mission, and Carla tells us we need to open up the vent in the library along with the janitor's closet. But we go over into this section, and Stevie tells us we're not allowed since they're having group therapy. So we can tell Carla that she's going to take their stuffed animal. That's going to open up this area for us, and we can open that vent going to the nurse's office. Now from here, all we have to do is go back into the principal's office and back through this door. That way we see the hallway. There is a lot of stuff that is going on in the school, and I am not too worried about it. But thankfully, because that door got destroyed, we can actually go in here, which is where we see some guy in a bunch of boxes just crying. This is Mr. Scipio, and we can ask him if he has any keys. He's gonna give them to us. Mr. Scipio, by the way, is a teacher that had a nervous breakdown and just isn't doing the best. So then we can go back into this bathroom where of course there's going to be this vent system. We can climb into it and go into the cafeteria, and those keys are actually to open the janitor's closet, so we're able to go in here and finally finish out this day by opening this last vent, which means we opened every single vent in the school, and now we have a very easy way to get through to everything. And the nice thing about this is Carla is going to give us a map of the vent system, and if we bring that to school, all the vents are automatically going to be open. Next up, it's Wednesday again ×2, and this time we're going to do the janitor's mission. For this mission, the janitor tells us that he's going against the alligator that's in that pond, whose name is Linda, and we can help him. But what we're going to have to do is go over and get him some bandages, but we can't go inside because the teacher isn't letting us since we aren't injured. Thankfully, the janitor is more than pleased to injure us just a little bit. So yeah, we can then go inside, so kind of unlucky for us. But we'll see these two people talking to each other. I don't really care what they have to say. We'll tell them that we're going over to the nurse's office, and of course course she's going to fix us up. We'll also ask for a couple more bandages. She says yes, and we're able to give them to the janitor. Now after that, the janitor will ask us to ask Linda for his arm back, and she says she'll give it to us if we get her a fish that she can eat. So we can go ahead and do that. Davy helps with that by unwrapping the bandages from our face, so Miss Lovelet lets us go inside again. Then the janitor tells Stevie that he should get out of the way, that way we can go in the classroom. And of course there's going to be the fish in here again. You gotta feel bad for this fish, but I guess also not really my problem, because then we're heading over to Linda. We're gonna give Linda the fish. She's just gonna have the greatest time eating it, and she'll give us the arm back. This game is so weird. I love it so much. Anyways, it's morning time, and right away the janitor's gonna come in and say that we can go with him since it's take your kid to work day, and he just lies and says we're his kid. So we got this whole mission of how we're gonna help the janitor kill Linda, obviously. And to do that, first of all, we have to get keys to the janitor's closet. So what we're gonna do is come in here. First of all, we'll ask the principal where he keeps his spare closet key, and he tells us he'll only help us if we get him some toilet paper. So we'll grab some cigarettes from this trash can and then bring those over to the nurse. That way we can trade them for toilet paper before heading back, talking to the principal once again, where we're just gonna throw this toilet paper straight in there. And he tells us to use janitor maneuver 17. Meanwhile, we'll come back and the janitor's gonna drop that bag in there. I'm not even gonna worry about it. And we do have to be careful here to make sure we say use janitor maneuver 17, because otherwise we die. But he'll stick his pole right in the golf hole, and that's gonna give him the key, so we're good to go. All we have to do for the rest of morning time is go and get something to help us capture a rabbit. So we'll go over to this garden, take one of these carrots. Now on lunchtime, the janitor wants our help again because apparently the keys we got were the wrong ones to the closet. But Miss Applegate says we're not allowed to leave with him, so we need a distraction. And because of that, we're gonna head right over to Austin, ask him to throw the burger at Miss Applegate. She of course gets very angry, and while Miss Applegate goes to wash up, we can leave the lunchroom and head over to the janitor, where he says he wants to get in this classroom, but it's locked. Thankfully, we have a very easy way to actually get in there. All we have to do is take one of these rocks, bring it over to the window, and do a little bit of smashy smashy, and yeah, we're good to go in. Of course, we'll see Mr. Scipio again and ask for a key, so he gives us it, which we can then give to the janitor. We're going straight over to the janitor's closet, and we can open up this gate, which allows him to get his favorite mop and also a trap. So yeah, everything has been working pretty perfectly so far. But what we're going to want to do right away when recess starts is put this trap there and also the carrot. Then we can head over to Cindy, and we're going to tell her yet again that she can take the flowers she wants and she'll take the blue ones. After that, the bunny's going to go over to the trap, very much die. Unlucky for the bunny, but we'll take him. And right after that, Cindy's actually going to dive to the flowers again. So if we wanted to, we could go get the nurse, but of course we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to go to the front of the school where the janitor put down an X spot, and we can place the bait right there, meaning all we have to do is boop Linda on the nose. That way she goes towards the bait. The janitor decides to go for the craziest jump of all time to get tons of momentum right down onto Linda's face, and she is very much dead. Davy is very upset since we killed one of his friends, but hey, we did what we needed to do, and we get the extra mop, so that's something we can now bring to school. I do feel bad for Linda though, so for this next day, we're actually going to help her and Davy, and we're going to take the teacher's playbook and Carla's vent map. Right away, we can talk to Davy and say that we want to help him protect Linda, but we need to prove ourselves. So we're going to head over to the janitor, tell him to leave Linda alone, and then of course he's just going to hit us with his mop a couple times, just like usual. After that, we can go back to Davy. He's going to trust us now because we are very much injured, and we can tell him that we have the playbook for the teacher. So we're then able to bring it over to the teacher, tell her we want to put on a play, and tell her Little Red Riding Hood. That way we're able to get an axe. After that, we need some people who will act in it, so of course we can ask Nugget and also give him this nugget of friendship that Davy gave us. That way he'll do it. Then we're going to head inside, and we're going to go into the bathroom where we can turn on the faucet, and we can talk to Agnes again. We'll ask her for some courage, and since we show her the playbook, she'll give us the security blanket. So after that, it's going to be time to put on the play, but we have to do some stuff to prepare for it. First of all, we have to get this axe out of the case, so we ask Austin to throw a rock at it, and then Davy brings the axe in a very fun way. You know, he's just living his life. Of course, Nugget is then going to get his arm to explode, and Miss Lovelet says he has to go to the nurse to get that fixed before they do the play. He's not going to do that though, and instead just look at this trophy, so we ask the nurses to go and check him. Meanwhile, we go to Miss Applegate, and we tell her to use the security blanket on her blood. That way it turns red. Finally, before we leave, we ask the nurse if she can help us with this play, and she convinces Miss Applegate to go and do it because she has so many jobs, might as well do this one too. And now we'll head over to the classroom where sure, where does Miss Applegate get all these outfits? I really am not sure, but we can give Nugget his outfit. He's now just completely covered in our blood, but you already know how great these plays are going to be. We got Miss Applegate just getting closer and closer to Nugget until finally Davy comes over with the axe, just slices her right in the face. And yeah, that's some pretty good practice for him, but he's not able to get the axe out of her face, so we're gonna need to deal with that later. For now, we'll get our library card, and we have to figure out some more stuff with Davy. He tells us we need to cut the wires to the trapdoor in the principal's office before they can dispose of Miss Applegate's body, and we can do that by getting a scalpel from the nurse's office. So he'll go over to distract the nurse by pretending his stomach hurts. Then we can talk to Stevie, tell him we have the library card, so we're able to go in, and use the vent system with our vent map to actually go in the nurse's office. And while Davy is distracting her, we can take this scalpel. That puts us straight into this room. We can show him we got the scalpel. Meanwhile, the janitor is just dragging Miss Applegate's body around. Yeah, very interestingly. But now we ask Stevie to go back to the library. He tells us we can't since he doesn't know how we left. And we talk to Carla about that, who says she'll help us if we give her the library card and also a hall pass. So we can go back into the classroom, take a hall pass from this stack of papers, and give those things over to Carla. She tells him move out of the way, but he doesn't, so she takes his crutch. Stevie's not having the best day. Also, Alice gets called to the principal. I'm sure we'll see about that later. Anyways, let's go back into the library where we're gonna go into the vent system again, this time heading to the closet. And all we have to do while we're here is cut these blue wires. That way the janitor isn't able to get rid of Miss Applegate's body. So now we just have a couple more things to do. First of all, we'll talk to Nugget, who says the goo gave him the power to speak to animals. So we convince him to go talk to the bird, and then it just takes him away. Before Cindy then goes over to Felix, asks if he wants to be her boyfriend. He says no, but also gives her $1. Then we talk to Monty because we want to go up onto the playground, but he says he won't move unless we give him some cash. So we go to Felix and we just keep asking him over and over again for money. And if you keep asking, eventually he will give it to us. So we can go to Monty, give him that money, and finally talk to Austin, where he's going to throw the rock straight at the window, and the teacher's going to get very upset about that. But thankfully, I can just go down this slide, have the greatest time in my life, which by the way, for some reason, there are these lights. Maybe will be important later, but not my problem because now we can go through and see Davy talking with the janitor, and the janitor getting ready to go and attack Linda. So we gotta help Davy with this axe. We're just gonna take it straight out of Miss Applegate's head, and you know, I'm sure she's doing fine. Which leads us to the very end of the day, where of course the janitor and Linda are fighting just like usual. Nugget is flying through with his bird, having a great time, and Davy is then gonna come through with his axe, go behind the janitor, say for Linda, slice him right in the head. This man loves murdering people. And finally, to end off the janitor's life, Linda goes, eats half of his body, the whole pond turns red, and for everything, we get a special gator nugget, which will allow us to go to Linda's secret lair. Our 5th mission is going to be the Emmy mission, and for this one, all we're going to bring is the janitor's mop. Then to start this day, right away, we want to talk to Emmy, tell her we can get her a friend, talk to Cindy, of course she's going to go over, destroy the garden. Why does she have to spit in it too, by the way? But that makes Emmy very sad. Then we can talk to Davy, start the whole Linda stuff, and we do that because we need to get injured by the janitor. That means we can actually go inside, and we have free reign over here, so we can go to Stevie and threaten him with the mop, which makes him leave right away and take this watering can. He's scared of the mop, by the way, because in the previous game, the janitor hurt him a lot. Then from here, all we're gonna do is head over to the playground. Also, the principal is chasing Lily. She's from the previous 2 games and usually works to thwart the school's evil plans, so that's probably why. And we can give this watering can over to Emmy. She's gonna be really happy with us, give us some bandages, and now she has flowers. But as soon as morning time starts, Cindy is very upset that Emmy has some flowers, so she just takes them from her, and Emmy's upset. So she tells us that she can get more, but they're on the roof, and we need to figure out how to get there. She'll also give us this watering can. So from here, we'll head over to Cindy, and we're gonna do the same thing as last time, where we need to give her something to beat up Alice with, which of course is gonna give us some goo. And then Emmy's gonna go and take Jack and the beanstalk, give it to Miss Lovelet, but she says she needs a big vine. So of course, we can use the goo we got earlier. That's gonna grow that vine. Like usual, Nugget's gonna try to climb it and completely fail. And then we'll climb up the beanstalk and make it to the very top of the roof, where there's gonna be these blue flowers, and we're gonna take them right away. So we can jump off. Miss Lovelet is gonna say, did we get any loot? And of course, we got the flowers before we head out into the bathroom. And we actually want to wash these flowers because, as we saw earlier with Cindy, if you don't wash them, they're going to be poisonous. So we tell Emmy we got them. She is very happy, and that's going to be morning time done. But as soon as we make it to lunchtime, Cindy is upset yet again that Emmy has some more flowers, and she's going to take Emmy's meal since she's vegan and she wants Emmy's vegan food. So we decide to collect 3 different burgers. That way we can give Emmy the vegetables on the burgers that she can use as a salad. So first of all, we'll ask Austin to throw his burger. That's going to do the whole Monty stuff, and we'll be able to take this burger from the ground, this burger from Monty, and this burger from Miss Applegate, giving us 3 burgers, and that's going to be enough vegetables on them to give to Emmy. Now finally it's recess time, and yet again Cindy is just being a complete jerk, destroys those flowers, takes the red ones, but this time Emmy says she's not going to cry anymore and she wants her revenge. So it's finally time to actually kill Cindy, and what we can do for this first of all is place a carrot right on this patch. Then we'll head over to Davey, and he's very angry at Austin since he's working with the janitor, so he can start arguing with them. They get in a fight, and that brings over Miss Lovelet, who's trying to break it up. Meanwhile, the bunny is going to come out, get the carrot, doesn't die this time since we didn't place a trap, and we can go in this broken window and get one of these plants. Then all we have to do is head over here and grab this shovel, stick it in the ground, before finally giving all that stuff to Emmy, and that's going to be every time for recess. So now it's time for after school. Also, Monty is not doing the best. But right away, Emmy's going to be at her garden. Cindy is very angry still because she's like, why are you still gardening? And then Emmy goes full poison ivy, brings out a bunch of plant creatures, says, hey, I'll stop this if you apologize, but of course it's Cindy, so she's not going to apologize. And finally, by the end, one of the plant creatures picks her up, throws her at the wall. She is not doing well, but she still won't apologize. So then they go throw her at the window. Unfortunately, she's just gonna keep being stubborn. So finally, both the plants pick her up and pull her apart and then eat her. That is definitely an ending. That finally spawns in a white flower, which will get rid of the goo effects, and also rabbits don't like it, so we can bring it to other days. Next up is Felix's mission, and for this one we want to bring the mop, the nugget, and the vent map. Then at the start of the day, we're going over to Linda, giving her the nugget, and then she allows us to just go in her mouth. We come out at the bottom, we see all this stuff. I'm not going to worry about it too much because instead we're going to take this goo battery and then go back up with Linda. Now because Monty got injured in the previous game, his arms barely work, so he can't be a businessman like he used to be. He does have some robot parts with him though, and if we give him the goo battery, he can function properly. And then we have Felix, who basically in kindergarten 2, he had a brother named Ted, and he was the smarter one of the two. So Ted was supposed to come to this school, but he actually switched clothes with Felix, meaning Felix got put here and he wants to get back. And we agree to be his assistant for the day. Now you always get injured when you go in Linda's secret cave, so we can head inside, pretending that we want to go to the nurse's office, but instead we want to get the phone in the principal's office. And thankfully, Monty gave us a pill for giving him the goo battery, so we can give that pill to Miss Applegate and then use the phone to call Huxley, Felix's dad. He says that he'll send a care package to the school for Felix, and if he can get himself out of the school by the end of the day, he'll send both the boys to the academy. Yeah, he also tells us his boys will be in brutal competition until one of them is worthy of his company, but that's also not my problem. So at the beginning of morning time, the janitor is going to come with this box, place it on the ground, and Felix is like, what is this stuff? Oh, also Miss Lovelet realizes it isn't for her and starts crying and running away. And we see that there's a phone in here, and the password is going to be Felix's dad's birthday, but he doesn't know that. So we're gonna have to figure that out, and we think that Miss Lovelet might have an idea, so we're gonna use her to get the password. We'll head into the bathroom, see she's crying in one of the stalls, but thankfully we can turn on a faucet and get Agnes to come out, and we ask her for some help with her magic powers. But then she sets our teacher on fire, which is kind of unlucky, and Miss Lovelet is just gonna run around, but thankfully there's a shower right here, we can turn it on, and she's safe. But now she's going to Mr. Scipio's room because she's gonna try to drink with him. So after that, we'll head back out, we can use the mop, that way Stevie won't stop us, head over to the playground, and we're gonna take a rock, which we can use to smash the window. When we get in here, Miss Lovelet is venting to Mr. Scipio and saying she didn't realize that Huxley had a kid and thinks he might already have a wife, but they have a date today for his birthday. Don't really care about her messed up love life though. Today's his birthday, and we can tell that to Felix, which right away he's able to enter the password and call their family's private pilot, but the pilot tells Felix to meet him on the roof and to bring a flare. Unfortunately though, the flare in the box was taken by the janitor, so we gotta take it back from him. So Felix offers the janitor a job, but then he says he doesn't want any other job. He loves being a janitor because he can beat up children, and while he's doing that, we can take the flare from his back pocket. Still, mission successful. And by the way, one more thing is Felix does have to take Monty with him because Monty read the note for him earlier, and Felix agreed to introduce Monty to his dad. Just a small little thing, but we're working with him too. Now Felix will ask to go to the nurse's office for obvious reasons. And we're gonna ask Stevie if we can go in the library, which he doesn't allow us to at first, but Monty says we're cool, so we can go in. And since we can go in all the vents, we have direct access to go right into the nurse's office where Felix is getting taken care of, and we can grab this scalpel. Finally, after that, Felix leaves. She notices we're in here, but since we're hurt, she also decides to bandage us up, even though she doesn't get our entire face. And we're in the principal's office where we have to do one more thing, because since we brought the mop, we can put it in the golf hole. That's going to give us the key over to the janitor's closet, and all we have to do at this point is get over to the roof. That way we can get the helicopter. But the kids are having their therapy meeting about how awful the janitor is, and say that Felix has to stay for a minute before he can go into the vent. We also join in by using our mop so they can use it for exposure therapy, and they call their sponsor Bob, who's from the last game. Now they're trying to get to the vent, but Miss Applegate won't let them, but thankfully we can redial Bob on the phone. She's gonna talk to him and be like, oh, I missed you so much, because they never exchanged numbers in the last game. That means she puts Stevie in charge. He lets us do whatever we want, and we can go into the vent over to the closet. So all that's left is to get rid of the defense systems on this school, so we cut the red wires, and we'll also open this gate. Monty does ask us if we think that Felix will betray him. We say no, and we all head up this ladder, where thankfully we already dealt with this defense system by getting rid of those red wires, so we're able to use the flare, and a whole helicopter comes down. Yeah, Felix and Monty really are living the good life, but then Miss Lovelet comes over, says, hey, I need to go with you because she wants to get with the dad, and she goes and jumps straight into the helicopter, and yeah, that is definitely a way to go out, but now it's time for the end of the day, where while we're walking by, Monty drops down from the sky. Huxley, their dad, is going to talk to us and give us an antidote for the goo. We're on to Alice's mission, where we're going to bring the vent map, the flower, and also the nugget. And the whole idea behind this mission is we're trying to get Alice to remember what happened on Monday, because like I said before, she's from kindergarten 2 and we saved her at the end, but she has no idea what happened the day before that on Monday. So we'll head down here with Linda and take this diary, which we can give the diary over to Alice, and she's starting to remember things and gives us a knife, but we need to get her a pen, that way she can have it along with her diary. And thankfully, since we got injured by Linda, we're able to go into the principal's office, where we're gonna head straight over to this garbage bag, use the knife on it, and get a purple pen. And we'll head back to the front of the school, where we can give her the pen, but she's still not completely sure on everything that happened. She knows she played house in Mr. Scipio's class with a kid named Kevin, but that's all she remembers for now. So she wants to reenact all the different parts of her Monday and asks Austin for help with that. He also asks if she wants them to hit the window with a rock. Alice says no, but he still does it, and he hits Emmy with a rock, so unlucky, but is what it is. Time for morning time. We're at the beginning of morning time. Both Alice and Cindy are trying to play house, so we agree to help the situation by pretending to be Cindy's husband. First, they both need stuffed animals to act as children, so we try to grab one, but Davey stops us and only agrees to let us take one if we'll be his knight. Then he says to come to him during recess. So we both have our stuffed animals, but now they decide to have a competition of which person's kid is smarter by who does math problems better. So we gotta head over to Emmy, and she has a pill because that's what she got from the nurse's office, and we can take that pill, then trade it with Monty. That way he gives us a calculator to help our kid be better. Then we can go through all the math problems, but it doesn't actually matter to get these right, so I just go with the first answer, so they're the fastest. And then we go over to Miss Lovelet and ask her about who did better. She says that we did worse, unfortunately. Also, during the grading, Alice remembers that Mr. Scipio had something important to tell her. And Cindy also gives us some whiskey, because since we got so many problems wrong, she thinks we must have been drunk. So yeah, pretty good morning time, but we still got some more stuff we gotta do. And first of all, Austin is going to distract Miss Applegate. Meanwhile, we can go out to the hall because we want to go talk to Mr. Scipio. Thankfully, we can say, hey, we have this whiskey, which is going to allow us to go in the room. He's just sitting on the carpet, terrified. Mr. Scipio is then going to pretend he's asleep and be like, oh, I'm all alone now. And if we don't talk, he'll tell us what we should do. So he says that Alice is going to get dropped into a pit in the principal's office, but gives us a key to the closet where the wires to the trapdoor are. And if we cut the blue wire, it will stop it. Then he also gives us a controller for Regis's secret weapon. But since he drank too much, then he actually does fall asleep. Still got some pretty good stuff done. Now we tell Alice that she still should go to the principal's office. That way Mr. Scipio doesn't get murdered by the principal. We'll we'll go over, cut the blue wire to make sure that the trapdoor won't be able to do anything, and we can head to the nurse's office where she'll kick us out right away, and we're in the principal's office. From here, Alice is about to go in, so we'll jump into this pot. He calls over Alice. She comes in here, says, "Hey, Regis," and he says that he's going to murder her. He tries to do the trapdoor. Of course, it doesn't go off, and then he uses his secret weapon, which is this dog thing, which just screeches into the air. And he says, "Boo Boo, go and kill her." So Boo Boo starts trying to do it. Thankfully, I do have the remote. We're able to use that on the dog, and Alice can run away. Regis then brings out some controllers and says he's going to close it up, but before he can, Miss Applegate says she needs some help with some stuff, and we're able to take that other remote and go to recess. Now Boo Boo is trying to murder Alice, but since we're Davy's knight, he tells us that we need to save her and bring him the beast's head. So what we can do is use this crossbow, which distracts Boo Boo and gets him to come over to this tower. But then Austin tries to go and save Alice. He gets attacked by a bunny, unlucky. And yet again, we can go down the slide, which is a super fun time. From here, we can finally use the white flower that we have to shoo the bunny away. Austin is safe, and Austin then goes on top of this rock, throws a rock at the dog, and Boo Boo comes over and starts trying to attack him. Thankfully though, there is going to be a lawnmower right here. We can turn it on, and by the way, you should not be in front of that lawnmower when you do that, but there goes the dog. So unlucky for Boo Boo, he didn't deserve this. Still, that's everything that we need to do, so Austin is now safe, and we gotta go check in on Alice. She's gonna be in this tree, and we gotta shoo this bunny away with the white flower, and see that she's talking to Lily, and they're coming up with some plans to get to the secret lab under the school. And thankfully, since we got that extra controller, we're able to go down to the secret lab through the slide. But Lily won't be able to come with us since Miss Lovelet doesn't allow her. So finally, it's now time to use the remote on this slide. We can have a really fun time with all three of us, but unfortunately, even though us and Alice were able to make it down, Austin stayed up there. Here we see Regis along with that gigantic monster and a big gun, and he's going to use a specific code which charges up an electric floor. By the way, the giant monster that's leaving with Regis is Kevin, Alice's friend. Also, the person trapped down here is the old principal of this school, so we're going to try to save him. We use the opposite of the code that Regis used first of all to get rid of the electric floor. Then he's going to tell us another code. We see that it's all triangles, and it's going to be red triangle, green triangle, and then blue triangle, which is going to open up Alice's thing. She then gives us a decoder that we can use to read the pink paper that's by the goo battery, and says to get there we have to do blue circle and then just go across horizontally, and we can go over to the pink note and see that we want to do blue square, green square, red triangle. But it's too late for the old principal. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave him behind, and to escape, all we have to do is that fourth code. We're gonna put it in. That's going to open up the slide, and we leave the old principal, but don't worry, we'll be coming back to him later. After all this, the other kids check us out. We see that a huge explosion happened. Not gonna worry about that. Oh, one more important lore thing is certain kids have a gene that turns them into monsters when they get the green goo. That's what happened to Lily's brother Billy and why he was taken away. Also, that gene, or the controller we used, is how you get down to the secret layer from the slide. But we'll end the day with Alice's decoder. That way on future days, we can read the pink note. At this point, we only have 2 more missions left, and this one is going to be Nugget's mission, where we're bringing the teacher's playbook and the white flower. Now, very first thing we want to do is go over to Nugget and give him the white flower, which if you remember, gets rid of the effects from goo. So he realizes that he's covered in goo, really wants to get him off himself, but the teacher won't let him since he isn't injured. Thankfully though, we have the playbook and we can give it to him, tell him that he needs to do some stuff for a play, and she lets him go in, and will also let us go in so we can help Nugget. Now we're heading into the bathroom, and he doesn't put on the shower himself, so we turn it on for him. He gets clean and realizes he has to go meet with Lily. Yeah, in the past games, if you forget, Nugget and Lily were good friends, and there are a lot of missions helping the two of them, so they're gonna get in the tree together. Meanwhile, Regis wants us to get in there with them and get them out of the tree. There is going to be a bunny blocking them off, but thankfully we do have the flower. Then we can go up to them. They're talking about their plan, where they want to dig a nugget cave into the secret lab, and we decide to help them. By the way, Lily's brother Billy is doing an operation in a different school right now, so that's why he's not here. And we tell Regis that she's not going to leave the tree. Then we'll also shake this swing set so the bird on it attacks Regis, and he'll leave the tree so Lily can come out. He'll then also go smack the bird through the window, so that's now open. And now the plan is for Nugget and us to go to class, and then we'll try to meet Lily in Mr. Scipio's class to hopefully get intel. But as soon as we get into class, we see that the play that Nugget signed up for was Romeo and Juliet, but nobody wants to be his Juliet. So Nugget tells Miss Lovelet he can go get Lily for it, and we follow behind to help. Now on the way to Mr. Scipio's class, Stevie tries to stop Nugget, and we're gonna take his crutch while they're doing that. Before Nugget then sprouts his mutant arm, that gets Stevie on the floor, and we're able to do whatever we want. Nugget also decides instead of trying to go through the window, he can just break through the door, which fair enough. Now we can use Stevie's crutch to break the window to the front of the school, and that's because we want to dig through the trash until we find a flask. And that's because we now have to go inside this room and talk to Mr. Scipio, who doesn't want to help us because he's scared of Nugget. Now we'll give him the flask, which makes him less scared. Andy explains that our old teacher from kindergarten 2, Dr. Danner, went to college with him, and they discovered a gene that only expresses itself in 5-year-old kids. Then when those kids are exposed to goo, they'll have a mutation. The goo can also affect adults, but it has to be a lot of it. And we'll need a lot of the cure if we want to save Kevin, since he's really far in his mutant transformation. But Lily and Nugget still have to do the Romeo and Juliet stuff, so they're going over to the classroom, while I have to go to the nurse's room to make sure that Nugget won't become a full-on monster. So we'll head over here, of course, just tell them what's happening, and also get a band-aid from Miss Applegate, before now Miss Lovelet is really trying to convince Nugget and Lily to do the play, but she wants Lily to stab herself and Nugget to drink poison, you know, just like in the original Romeo and Juliet. But obviously Lily doesn't want to do that, so we're gonna get a ketchup bottle for her so she can fake it, and she tells Nugget to not actually drink the liquid and instead just pretend to. Finally though, it is gonna be time for their play. Nugget needs to clear his space, so he just very coolly moves over those trays, and of course it starts out with Lily being passed out. Nugget gives her a kiss on the forehead, and then he drinks the poison, only for Lily then to wake up, realize what Nugget did, and stab herself, though she doesn't actually do it obviously, she just uses the ketchup, and honestly it is very realistic, I won't lie. But Nugget also ended up actually drinking the poison, so now he's kind of dying, because he got distracted by kissing Lily. So she goes to try to get the nurse. Meanwhile, we have another plan to actually save Nugget's life. We're gonna head over into the library, and we're gonna ask our teacher how to save Nugget, and she'll tell us that we need to get a drink from the top row that's either orange or red. Now the drink you need can change, so you have to make sure it's the right one. Then we check the vending machine, and I realized I forgot to get the money, so I'll ask Monty, sell him the crutch, get $1 from that, and then we can actually buy the red raspberry soda. Now of course Alice is gonna go to the principal. We're not really too worried about her this time around, and we'll go over to Nugget, where we're gonna give him the red raspberry soda, and somehow that completely cures the poison. What an interesting antidote. But that's gonna keep everybody alive, and it's time to go over to recess. Where at this point Lily is hiding from Miss Lovelet because she's scared that Miss Lovelet would be upset at her for not actually dying, and to be fair, she is completely correct. So she tells us that we have to get the stuff to make the Nugget cave, and we're gonna head right over here where there's a convenient shovel. Then we can give that to Nugget, and he's going to give us a huge bag, which we can put a ton of nuggets in, and they're gonna be up on the roof. So we can ask this bird over here, and the bird agreed to help us because we said we'd use the cure on Kevin and use it on the bird tomorrow. And there's just gonna be this huge pile of nuggets. We're gonna put every single one of them into the bag they somehow fit, and we can use this convenient diving board to place all of them down there. You can see everything's now working great. It's raining nuggets, as Nugget wants to say, and they're both gonna jump down. Lily makes sure she goes too, because Miss Lovelet, she might go insane if she sees it for too much longer. Finally, we'll do a very graceful dive, and now we're back into this area. But we land right by Kevin, and this man is angry, but thankfully, we have a way to stop him from killing us. What we're gonna do is take a nugget from the pile, give it to Nugget, and he's gonna give it to Kevin, making Kevin accept our offering, and he's not gonna murder us. Then from there, he tells us that he can't be saved, but we need to make it out of here before Regis sees us, and gives us an RC car controller to use the RC car and open the door, which the code, just like last time, is just the whole bottom row of buttons. Now Kevin tells us he's gonna attack Regis when he comes out, but we can escape by using the code red square, red triangle, blue circle. And we learned from the principal that we could possibly cure Kevin if we combine the chemicals we got from Felix's dad with the gun that's on the wall, but we would have to do it earlier in the day. Also, Regis already escaped, and the principal gives us the ducky to give to Davy, and he'll know what to do apparently. So we can just enter in the code that's gonna get Linda to show up, and we're gonna feed Linda the ducky. I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do, unlucky for Davy, which will allow us to finally escape. Now we'll end it by making it back to the front of the school where there's a big explosion, and we finish the day with getting the RC car controller, which means we have every single permanent item in the game now. And by the way, I haven't mentioned it yet, but Davy is the old principal's son, so that's kind of important. So it's time for the final mission, and here we're gonna bring Linda's nugget, the RC car remote, Alice's decoder, and the special cure. And right away, we're gonna be heading over to Linda, giving her the nuggets so we can go in that area. And since we already have the RC car remote, we're gonna be able to use it right away and do the same code that we've done like 10 times already by just putting in those 3 things, opening up that gate. After that, we can use the decoder to memorize the pattern of red square, blue square, blue square. That'll open up the gun on the wall, and then we can combine that with the special cure to save Kevin and everybody else affected by the goo. Now with this, we can shoot it at Kevin. He's gonna become become our friend again, and he'll be able to rescue the old principal from his chains. Then basically the principal tells us that we need to shoot any animal we can find that is affected by the goo with the gun, because if they get cured, then they're going to start making anti-goo, which can fully revert the mutated Kevin. And right away we're going to get put to the class where Miss Lovelet tells us that a robot's going to come here because something from the principal got stolen, which is obviously the gun we have. Now, before they can do anything, we're going to use this gun on Nugget. That's going to save him from the whole goo, and he's going to start making anti-goo. But then Miss Lovelet says, hey, you were the one who stole the gun, thinks we're going to get in trouble, but a robot does come, realizes that we have it, shoots at us, and kills our teacher. Yeah, unlucky for Miss Lovelet, but wrong place, wrong time. And we can go over to Austin, ask him to throw a rock at the robot, which is also going to open up the axe case. Then we go to Davey, show him the duck that the old principal gave us, and that's going to convince him to help us attack the robot, so he'll bring over that axe, slice it right in the face, but it's still alive and is going to explode. So last person we have to talk to is Emmy, and we convince her to pour some water right on the robot just to make sure it doesn't explode and kill her plants. She also gives us a goo battery from the robot, so we can give that to Monty, and he's going to give us a pill in return. From here, Principal Regis is saying, hey, everybody can leave early, school's out, and a lot of people do leave, but us, Nugget, and Davey are going to stay by because we're going to go on the task of shooting all the animals with the antidote so they'll start making anti-goo. Now, very first thing we want to do is take a hall pass from here, that way we can get through Stevie. Then we see Regis is on top of the play structure and we need to stop him, so we'll attack him with this bird that causes him to run away and go into the slides back to the secret lab. Also, it will open up the classroom, so that will be good for us too. But before we enter the classroom, of course we have to go to the front of the school and take the flask from the garbage. And thankfully, since this window is open, we can go in there. We can talk to Mr. Scipio and bring him the flask, and because of that, he's going to give us the controller to shock Boo Boo. That means we can save Nugget by shocking Boo Boo, and then he's going to be able to go grab the gun, shoot Boo Boo to cure him, and then also shoot the two bunnies in the tree, so they're cured as well. But we actually have to get over to the secret lab, so of course we're going to ask Linda, and she tells us she will do it just for a little bit of a price. So all of us except for Boo Boo and the bird are going to jump in. Meanwhile, they said they can take the slide. Then once we get out the other part, we all come out except for one of the rabbits, because unfortunately that was the price. Is what it is, you know, we still have a lot of guys. And as soon as we walk forward, there comes our other dudes, so we are good to go, and it's time for the final boss fight. Oh, by the way, Davey does see his dead dad, who's just sitting there, but he says, hey, you gotta save the day, go at it. And yeah, it's our job to save Kevin. Now we see this very dark room until Regis decides to open it up, and he just has his gigantic gun. We can't ask him a bunch of questions about everything that's going on, but I don't really care. Instead, it's time to use our different animals. The first one we want to use is Birdie, and that's going to attack the robot from above. That way it's not able to hit us, and it will also move back Regis. Secondly, we want to use Boo Boo. He's going to go straight towards him with the gun, be able to chomp the bullet because he's insane. Third, we're going to use the rabbit, who will eat on the wires to the missile system, so Regis can't use them. And finally, we can use the fish, which Nugget kind of just throws at him. After that, Davey is going to come with Linda, and he's trying to attack the principal, but this dude does have a gun. So we're going to use this gigantic convenient magnet that's sitting right there. That way he loses the gun, and Linda goes in for the attack, but they both fall into that goo. After that, we're going to place all the characters with the anti-goo in this other chamber, and we can use it, finally reverting Kevin back to normal. So yeah, pretty much everything is good. The day is saved. Oh yeah, a bunch of people come. They're talking about all sorts of stuff. I don't really care about it. But what is important is because we gave Davey the duck, apparently we're a part of a sacred order now, and they go by a bunch of different names like Bill Brothers, Duck Dudes, the Quack Pack, you know, a bunch of stuff. Davey also says if we don't help them, we'll die, so that'll probably be important for the next game. But for now, we still gotta kill Regis and help out Linda. We jump straight over here into another pile of nuggets, and there's a ton of green goo around, along with Regis, who is now a monster, and Linda, who is one too. So yeah, this is literally now a Godzilla fight. So Davey is gonna jump on Linda's back, and we have to help them fight Regis. First of all, there's gonna be a laser that's pointing at us, and all we have to do is come over into this area and pass some time by eating an apple. That's going to hit Regis the first time, and the laser is still gonna be trying to attack us. So second thing we wanna do is hit this container full of this yellow stuff right here. That's going to hit him again, and also get him a little weaker, but there's going to be a different laser coming at a different angle, so we just have to aim it at the right spot. Luckily, you have all the time in the world to do this, and there's going to be this laser, so all I have to do is come into this direction. We're going to aim at the second yellow container, and that's going to hit him with more of that goo stuff. So Linda is doing very well right now, but Regis says that he doesn't care if he wins at the end, he just wants to kill us all. So what we're going to do is come into this area where there's all these lasers trying to attack here. We're going to destroy this container completely. Meanwhile, Linda is just charging up for one of the greatest blasts of all time. Literally just goes full Godzilla. Honestly, I appreciate it. And there Regis goes. We won the day. But we're not completely safe because now everything is just starting to get destroyed and we fall down. And as soon as we see this black screen, that's where we're going to call time 1:04:02. By the way, one really cool thing is in the special thanks, both the kindergarten speedrunning community and this channel specifically got a thanks, so that's really cool. Alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.